Okay. Good evening. My name is Roger Kearney, and today I will be talking about the process of mitosis. Mitosis is a cellular process that happens in everyone's human body from the moment that um, the egg is fertilized within the fallopian tubes. And mitosis is what is the process that handles growth and repair for everyone. Our cells are constantly dividing and they're constantly going through mitosis. And mitosis happens in four main stages, and those four main stages are prophase, anaphase, metaphase, and telophase. Uh, and then there is a intermediate phase after the telophase called interphase, and today I will be going through each of those phases in detail. So the first phase that I'm going to talk about is prophase. In prophase, the body, the cell begins to um, double its genetic material so that a copy of the genetic material will be in each of the new cells that are created. What happens during prophase is that the chromosomes will begin to condense. Originally, the chromosomes are in a more elongated position, but as prophase continues and begins to start, they will condense down into that stereotypical shape. It's this shape right here that we all know and love. And other things in the cell will also begin to duplicate itself so that you will have everything in the same everything the same in both of the two cells. So in prophase, what you're getting is chromosome condensing, and you're also getting the nuclear membrane is going to start disintegrating, and you're also going to have the nucleolus, which is a circular part on the nucleus. That is going to also disintegrate as prophase begins to go along. So the next phase that I'm going to talk about is metaphase. Metaphase, this part of the cell cycle is when the condensed chromosomes will begin to line up along the midline of the cell. And what also happens is during this phase, the proteins will begin to create a spindle, and this spindle is what is going to help continue the cell cycle into the next two stages. And so during metaphase, once again, the condensed chromosomes, they have this shape now. They will begin to line up along the midline of the cell. It is called the metaphase plate. And during this phase, the mitotic spindles that were made by the proteins will also be made, and they will begin to attach to either side of each chromosome that's in your body. That's in each cell, so that they can be divided and pulled to the next phase, which is anaphase. So in anaphase, after each chromosome has been lined up against the metaphase plate, anaphase is where the cell will begin to pull itself apart, basically, and put everything onto opposite ends of the cell so that it can begin to divide. So the mitotic spindles from the metaphase, they're all lined up. Pretend that this is all the condensed chromosomes lined up, and then these are the mitotic spindles. They are all attached to each chromosome. And what happens during anaphase is that the mitotic spindles will begin to pull apart the chromosomes, and you will have the chromosomes, they'll no longer have this shape, it'll just be this shape. So they'll all go to opposite poles or opposite ends of the cell as it begins to continue to divide. The next phase and the final phase of mitosis is called telophase. And this phase is where this is the end of mitosis. So in this phase, you've already had the doubling, you've had everything pulled apart, and you have everything on opposite ends of the cell. So in telophase, what begins to happen is that the cytoplasm will begin to divide itself for the cell. So this is the cell, And once telophase begins to happen, there will be an invagination of the cell until you're left with two cells, and then they pull apart. That's called cleavage. And after this phase, after telophase, you also have the nuclear membrane rebuilding itself, and the nucleolus is also rebuilding itself, and the chromosomes that were really condensed into this shape, they will now begin to unravel and go into their more loose shape. So that is telophase. And at the end of telophase and at the end of the mitosis cycle, cell cycle, you will be left with two cells from one cell. So the first cell is called the mother cell, and then the two cells that are left are called the daughter cells. And these cells have identical information contained within both of them. They have the exact same number of chromosomes, they have the exact same genetic material, and the exact same cellular composition as the original cell. It's just that cell has now duplicated itself into double. And then there is a in-between phase of the cell cycle. It's called mitosis. Nothing really happens in this state. This is just where the cell is at rest before it will begin to divide again. And and within all of this, there are numerous checks and balances so that you're not just dividing overwhelmingly, because that would be cancer. So in conclusion, the cell cycle is composed of 4 phases: prophase, anaphase, metaphase, and telophase, along with an intermediate phase called interphase. Thank you for listening.